When you're smiling and laughing, people don't get a sense for actually how sick you are.
The way you just described, it's like everything started to just narrow.
Doctors started saying to me, I can't help you.
When I give him love and I tell him how proud I am of him, that's all we really wanted. That's all we really needed. Welcome to the Journey to Joy podcast. I am with Tiffani Barton today, and I am so excited. So I know Tiffani barely. So we're just going to say more like association. We've met each other, know about each other a little bit, but not a lot. And so I get to learn about Tiffani at the same time you get to learn about Tiffani. I do want to tell you why she's here today. So the last episode, I was talking about boundaries and learning what boundaries really are and how they're not just this big castle wall that we put up for ourselves, but also when we know what they are, when we create them, then we are able to then learn how to communicate them, which is something as children we didn't learn how to do. We didn't develop that part of ourselves. And so that's part of my journey now in this next phase and step of my life. And Tiffani, of course, happens to come across my feed. And I was like, and she was talking about boundaries. And I'm like, yes, Tiffani's the boundaries person. And so I reached out to her and I'm like, would you be on the podcast? And I just have to tell you, we're like a couple days away from Christmas. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve when we're recording this. And I asked her to do this 2 days ago. I'm like, can't you do it like Tuesday? Can you do it like really soon? Because she fit so perfectly in with where my journey is and how I'm taking you through that. So welcome, Tiffani.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where do you live? What do you do?
Yeah, sure, of course. Lisa, thank you for inviting me on. When I got your message, I was like, of course, yes. Like I would love, love, love to do this, and I'll drop everything to do it. So it was no problem at all. And I'm excited to serve today in whatever capacity I'm called to serve. So thank you for the opportunity for that. So I live in Miami Beach, and what I do, I have a full-time job. I'm in sales. I sell to the government, and I'm also a coach and a speaker and a mentor. So in that capacity, I guide women on how to speak up for themselves, to put it very simply. And boundaries are a part of that. So speaking up for yourself, advocating for yourself, being able to create boundaries and really knowing what those even are for you and what that means for you. And a big part of that is discovering who we are, discovering what we want. Often as women, and most of my clients are women, but I will tell you, there are actually men who need this work too.
All of them.
I just don't. Right?
Yes.
It is. We all benefit from having boundaries. We all benefit from knowing what we want and being able to articulate that.
Yes.
And being able to articulate our needs. So anyway, the women that I speak to most typically have been going along to get along. And you do that for so long that you actually lose or forget or maybe even never
developed
what you actually are, who you are, what you want. So it's a lot of that process of, discovering really who you are, what you want. There might be a little fallout after that because you have a whole life that you may have built not knowing what you want, and then, learning how to have those needs met and articulate them.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so my question before we get into the nitty gritty of it is, how did you come to be in love with that topic? What's tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's funny because I came about it in a funny way, in a very roundabout way. What happened is I got very, very, very sick, and I didn't know it, but it had been compounding for a long, long time, my sickness. And I found myself in a strange place. I had just moved to LA from New York City, where I lived for 14 years. I moved to LA during COVID to be with my boyfriend at the time who lived in LA, and almost immediately got extremely sick to where I could barely walk, I could barely move.
Wow.
And oh my gosh, Lisa, it was crazy. So all these things were wrong with me. I didn't have any doctors in LA. I had no doctor
resources.
Network built up. No resources, I didn't feel. And it was just a very hard time, and no one could figure out what I had. So it was one of those long periods of time going to doctors and not not getting any answers. And after a while, coming basically head to head with myself. Like it was this me that was very likable, was very nice, was very
Mm-hmm.
funny, was
Mm-hmm.
very easygoing, with this other person that needed answers, that needed care, that was not in a supportive relationship, that did not have anyone or anything. And I had to find my voice and I had to find myself in order to care for myself and save my own life. Um,
Was
it
that,
was
do you,
that
do you feel like that? Sorry. Do you feel like that was help? That was like causing your sickness? Like,
without a doubt.
yeah. I just want to point that
Without
out for
a
people because that is research back. That's what they're finding is all of this that's been repressed, suppressed, like not actually speaking your voice, not being authentically you and taking care of you, which comes always from our childhood. I mean, usually that's take
always.
it right back to when we're 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah,
And but it causes sickness inside your body. So an unexplainable sickness all of a sudden like that is your body yelling at you saying stop it, stop it, stop it, like this isn't
yeah,
okay, time to take care of me. And if you don't listen when it whispers, then it starts to scream, and it sounds like yours was screaming.
absolutely. It was. And as I look back, there were so many whispers.
Yeah.
There were so many whispers for a very long time. And so, also, this pattern, I can also look back, and this is all in my book, which is called Shed, but,
Perfect.
shedding layers basically of
Yes.
society and this person that we become, going along to get along, because it comes into play at the doctor's office. I always wanted to be that patient. Brendan Burchard talks about how his dad was like cracking up the nurses
He's
and
so happy in
right,
the
like,
in the hospital with
yes,
cancer. Yeah.
right. Like I want to be that person. I wanted to be the person everyone
Yeah.
talked about. Like she never took a day off of work and
Yeah.
she made all the doctors laugh. And it's like, well, that's great,
Yeah.
but also doctors sometimes are not correct.
Yes.
Sometimes you're not getting the best treatment. Sometimes things are, when you're smiling and laughing, people don't get a sense for actually how sick you are.
Yes.
And a lot of these personality traits mask what's going on. So, yes, I want to be lovely all the time and polite, and I want to treat everyone well. But at the same time, I need to be able to advocate for myself. So, the patterns, it's like full circle. Not only did your repressed emotion and anger get you to the doctor's office, but now it's keeping you in this loop because you're
Yes.
not communicating to the doctor. You're not communicating to your partner. People would ask me, "Are you feeling better?" And I would say, "Yes, I am. I am," when I wasn't. But I knew everyone just wanted to hear that I was feeling better. And so I just said it. And anyway,
Well,
it
and
was a
it's so interesting too from what you say is because you just said it and everyone wanted to hear it, but also it's like you were trained that way. We get trained,
Mhm.
right? Not purposely, but we get trained that way. Think about that right now. It's so like visceral that I have this little puppy, and the little puppy is like, I'm like, he's this little human being, right? And I watch and I think if I shut him down, watch how he would react, watch how he would behave, right? It would change the way that he like showed
Yes,
up, right? But then
yes,
instead, when I give him love and I tell him how proud I am of him, and I thought as children, that's all we really wanted. That's all we really needed so that we feel safe being
absolutely.
able to speak up, being able to discover ourselves. And we
Yeah.
didn't really have that experience necessarily because it's, parents, we don't know how to do that because we've been parented and we parent the way we parent. And so breaking that
For sure.
cycle, you're breaking a cycle. I guess I'm like in a long way to
Yes.
come down that river. I'm just saying you're breaking a cycle and you're helping other women and men break the cycle where it means that we have to, I think we've talked about it in society as self-sacrifice, but I don't think
Mm,
I don't love that word because I feel like it is
mm-mm.
just We don't know who we are. You said it. You haven't developed who you are and what your needs are and what love respects and takes care of you. And if you
Right.
don't know what that is, then how are you supposed to communicate it? It's like step one, right? Develop what your needs are and what love respects and takes care of you. And that's not mean. And that's not,
No,
there's no sacrifice in that. That just is balanced and healthy.
absolutely. There's a saying, and now I'm forgetting it exactly, but I think it is clarity is kindness.
Mm,
That might be incorrect, but people there it's the perfect saying because you think that telling someone like, I don't want to go to lunch, but I would like to go to dinner. It's like, ooh, what should I do? And we have all this like, oh, I don't really want to
yeah.
go to lunch, and I'm really kind of that's going to just be such a stretch for me when I'm way more free at dinner, but they want to go to lunch. Like, there's so much mind drama when you're a nice girl.
Hmm.
There's so much mind drama, and it's like the most kind thing you can do is just say you're not free for lunch, but you could go to dinner and let the chips fall where they may. And it's all these little tiny things. That's the thing. It's really never like it gets to this, but it's so rare that it's like, I do not love you.
Yeah.
It's all the things along the way,
Yes.
like all the things along the way that lead to I just don't love you anymore, or I hate you, or you're a jerk. Like, because it's all the things that weren't said that lead to all this resentment. And so, yes, knowing what you want, and knowing that it's not bad. It's not bad. It's good. It's doing everyone a
Yeah.
favor.
I love that you brought like the loving somebody into that too, because I think that I know for sure that when we can learn what our needs are, like, so what you're teaching and what your book teaches, when you can start to learn that, trust yourself, know yourself, and understand what love, respects, takes care of you and your boundaries, right? And then be able to communicate those, you have a huge effect on a few different areas. You have an effect on your relationship with your partner or future
Mhm.
partner, because that can become healthy, right? That gets to
Yeah.
be healthy. And with your children, if you've got children, like, or your siblings or your parents, you now become this like beacon of healthy communication. And then you can
Yes.
start to spread, and it will spread positively because people are like, oh, you can do it that way. We've just never had it modeled before. We
Right.
have had
Exactly.
unhealthy communication modeled. And so that's what we do.
Yes,
And we just pass this from generation to generation until
it
somebody
is.
like you breaks it wide freaking open. And you're like, we
Yeah.
we don't do it this way anymore. So like, how did you
Right.
go from the bed to breaking this just wide open? How did you go from like sick and saying like, oh no, I'm fine, to like, this is not
Yeah.
working anymore? How'd that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it took, gosh, it was like I kept thinking it couldn't get any worse, and then it would.
Mm.
And it really took, I mean, it took so much, Lisa. It really did. And
So
I
much
truly believe
energy or so much what?
so much everything. Like, for me to break this pattern, it was like everything had to just completely implode,
Okay.
every single area of my life. And I do not think that's necessary,
No.
by the way.
Nope.
I do not think that's necessary. It is just what happened to me. But the way it all went down is I kind of learned in categories of my life.
Okay.
And I became a lot better because I work in sales and I work in business. I became a lot better about boundaries at work. So I developed that first, kind of before I got sick, or as I was getting sick. The the troubles in relationships, that was like the last thing that I was able to really get. And so it was like one area at a time would kind of implode and then get better. So work got a lot better, and then everything fell apart with my health. And I mean, I was diagnosed with MS. I was diagnosed
Oh
with everything
gosh.
under the sun. Yeah. And finally, because I was just like, this isn't right. Like this is not right. I don't know. It was like every doctor I went to had a different diagnosis, and they would just send me to different doctors, and they just didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
They didn't know. So in that area, I really learned I needed to advocate for myself and speak very differently when I went to doctors. And that started something in me because
Mm.
that started to work. And I was like, oh, like when, because I don't like to complain. Like
Mm.
I hate it, Lisa. I hate complaining. But I knew I needed to go in and say, I am debilitatingly tired. I have sharp pain on a scale of 0 to 10. It's a whatever in this area. I had to be very specific. And so as I watched that work, doctors started saying to me, I can't help you. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow.
Let me go another direction. And then I found nervous system regulation, which really helped me um, regulate while I learned how to speak for myself.
Mm.
So then I was kind of left with all this, all these medical bills.
Mm.
I mean, it was crazy, a huge amount, almost 6 figures of medical
Wow.
bills. Yep,
Mm.
because I had just gone to so many different doctors and no one had any answers, and I had been MRI'd, like every part of my body was MRI'd. It was a mess. So then finances were a thing. And then as soon as I could, I had to address my relationship. And finally, I moved from LA to Miami, and I got to Miami and I was just a wreck. I was a mess. My nervous system was shot from everything that had happened, and I was doing nervous system work, but I mean, it takes a minute. You don't just
Yeah.
learn it overnight with one class. Um, and I just began the long process of real, actual healing without anything, any toxic relationship in the way. I really hated my job. I was not in the right job for me, and that was also a big part of stress. So, anyway, what ended up happening, and I think what changed everything was I had been kind of hiding out in my job because I did not look well. I mean, I was down to 103 pounds.
Oh gosh.
It was really bad, really, really bad. Um, I wanted to get better so bad. It just was taking so long for me to know what to do.
Hmm.
So I was called into the home office for a meeting with our executives and executives from my largest client. And I knew this was going to be a problem because I was just not up to my normal capabilities, and I hadn't been for a year probably. And I was very, very scared. And I basically had become agoraphobic. And I just had to, and I'm a person, I mean, we met moving, traveling to LA once a month.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I love to travel. I love to leave my house. I love people. So
Yeah.
me, agoraphobic, is very weird. Anyway, getting on the plane was just the hardest thing I've ever done. The hardest thing I've ever done. And I was crying. I was so scared. I was so nervous. I knew I would be found out. My whole life was falling down around me, and I was on the path, but none of the good had started yet.
You hadn't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the path.
Before we keep going, I want to point out to people, like the way you just described, it's like everything started to just narrow. Like,
Hmm.
right, like it got worse and worse and worse, like to where you were so boxed in, I guess is the way
Yes.
I was hearing it. It felt like, if I were to describe that, it feels like you're in a box and the box just keeps getting tighter and like you want to get better, but it's just all the walls are just the pressure, right? The pressure is pushing
Yeah,
in on you.
I felt trapped. I
Trapped.
definitely
Yes.
felt trapped.
Yeah. People will say
And
trapped or stuck or yes. Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
I felt
just
trapped.
so people can relate, because other people, as you're describing this, this is not uncommon.
Yeah.
And it was so, you had such a very descriptive experience, and you were able to be aware of what, whether it's hindsight or during, but you at least knew what was going on now. Like you could describe this for people on purpose, by the way, so that people can see it in themselves at an earlier
Yeah.
stage where your walls are starting to cave in, or where you're starting to feel like you're boxing yourself in or making that box even smaller. And
Yeah.
the box, it sounds like, got smaller when you're like, I love to travel and I didn't want to get on the plane. Like that is a very tight box. It's very tight.
I mean, it was, I was like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Who is this person? I don't even know myself. And as I walked on the plane, I had big, giant sunglasses on and I was bawling. And I just got in my seat and slumped over. And I thought, I don't want to live. I'm just done. This isn't me. This is no life. I cannot do this anymore. And normally I've flown a lot and I'm in the habit of when a plane starts to take off, I always say, bless this flight. God bless this flight, bless this flight, bless all the passengers, bless the
Yeah.
pilots, like, just blessings.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because that is not how I felt
You're like, let's go
at all.
down.
I know
Yeah.
that is not how I felt, but I'm so used to saying it that I said it in my head and then I thought,
Mm.
no, no,
Mm.
don't. And I was like, who am I? I'm just bawling. Anyway, the plane ends up hitting a humongous amount of turbulence. I'm flying from Miami to Nashville. We hit all this turbulence. It was absolutely terrifying, terrifying. And I was like, never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind. Like, do not, no, 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 no. That is not what I meant.
Yeah.
I did not mean that. And it was like this huge weight just fell off of me. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can. I am not done. And I thought I had already done everything I could. I was like, I am not done. I'm not done. I'm going to live. I'm walking off this plane. I am a new freaking person. No more, no more, whatever it takes, no more. So to answer your question, it took some, like, what am I passionate about? Like, no more could mean everyone needs nervous system regulation, or everyone needs to quit eating dairy, or everyone needs to, quit drinking alcohol, or whatever the case may be. And what I realized was really the root is
Yes.
that I had never really been able to know myself or what I really wanted or speak up for myself. And that was just the crux of the whole thing as I traced it back. And that took me a little while to trace that back. I was like, what am I passionate about? Like, I know I'm here. I know God put me here to serve. And I did
Mm-hmm.
not go through all this to not share
Yeah.
it. And I'm a very private person, Lisa. I would rather die than anyone know that happened to me on a plane. That's so shameful and embarrassing to me. But I have to tell it. I have to share my story because if I don't, that's just God didn't put me through that for nothing, to
Yep.
just get through it for me. So anyway, that is why. That is really why. It's the sickness and then not wanting to live anymore. No one deserves to go through that. And if I can help one person, I'm happy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm like laughing, but not laughing. But
No,
it's
totally.
so interesting that you're like, you get into this box, but then literally you're like in a box of a plane. Like you couldn't be in
Yeah,
like a smaller space. And then like, let's shake the box.
I know.
Like that's the visual I was getting. Like you are literally in this box and you're like, hey, don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, okay, God's like, shake the box. We're shaking the box. Like we're going to shake the
Yeah.
box. Like, because that's what happens. And figuratively, but like actually that's what happened. Like your box was
Yes.
shaken and then you're like, JK, that's not what I really
Wait a
want.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, no,
Listen,
no, take it back. I take it back. Right. I love that. We all have our own like moment, our wake up moment. That was
yeah.
your wake up moment. We all have it in a different way you were aware and you were like, oh yeah. I mean, and maybe he had to shake your box for you to actually hear it. Like you said, you waited until it was like a scream and you were in so much pain and your life's imploding. And we
Yeah.
both know that what we're teaching and what we're here on earth to teach is to help people hear it at the whisper level, hear it earlier, so that they are not waiting until their life is imploding, their marriages are, divorcing, they're not talking to their children anymore, that's just more trauma that's being created, or that they
Yeah.
take their own life even, which is
Totally.
also very common. And
Yes.
we don't have to wait. And there is a very, very simple, even though it feels painful. So we're going to talk about that, but it is a very accessible, doable solution. And it really, if you strip it down to the base of it, it's just a skill we never developed. It's something we didn't learn. And when I say developed, I'm like, you go back and you parent that child that never got parented, or that child that never learned how to speak up or advocate for themselves,
Yeah.
because they really weren't supposed to have to fight for their lives when they were 3 or 4 or 5 years old. We should have been able to be nurtured. We were meant to be. And when we weren't, we adapted. We became the nice girl that didn't want to pay, we didn't want to make people mad. Well, when we put on,
Hmm.
I'm the nice girl, and so I don't say the things that are maybe going to hurt somebody else's feelings, that is a pattern that you then live in your life that creates a lot of unhappiness eventually. Right? I mean, it is unhappiness, but it just compounds until you're in a
Yes.
box. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Does it
Yeah.
compound every little thing? I mean, and then, yeah, there you are. So I'm glad that we're both in so much agreement on that. It's
Yes.
rock bottom does not have to be a thing. And
No.
it is my mission for people to be able to avoid that. And, or at least if they don't, maybe they know where to go.
Yes, what the
I
steps
know,
are.
and it's yeah, and it's okay,
Yes.
but it is, a lot of people say, which I do believe, like you're right where you're supposed to be. You
Oh.
are. You are right now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there are things like you're right where you're supposed to be right now, yes. And we can just choose who we want to be and move forward from that. And it's never too late. And what
Yeah.
everything that happened all is now who you are.
Yes.
However,
Yeah.
there were whispers, and I just
Yeah.
believe those things have to be recognized.
You have to hear them. If you don't,
You have to hear
you
them.
have to be, and you have to be willing and open to hear them. Yes. So
Yes.
before we I feel like this is important to say, and then we can move to, I want to have you teach us about boundaries and how, because I need to learn too.
Okay.
What I've been saying lately is it's like, okay, God's going to give us the boat and he's going to give us the oars, and we have to paddle. Right. And I feel like the
Yeah.
paddling is like part of that is listening and the awareness, and being open and willing. And if we're like, nope, I'm just going to sit in my boat and it's just going to go down the river, and okay, your journey is going to be crappy. It's going to be bouncy, and it's
It's
going
gonna
to
be
continue.
rough.
It's going to be so rough, and you might hit some rocks, and you might like go on the edge. You might flip over. Right. But you have the paddles. Like you
Yeah.
just need to choose to paddle. And
Yeah.
you're here because the information you're sharing with people, your book, it's part of the paddles. It's part of,
Yes.
there are ways, there is a solution, right? There is a way that has been provided for you to learn so that you can be able to feel better, get better, do better, right? But you do have
Yep.
to take those. So that's the choice. When you're like, you gotta choose, you have to choose.
Yeah.
You do. And nothing has gone wrong, because everything that you've experienced now has brought you to the point where you hear something and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my shake. Like, I'm
Yes.
ready, and I'm ready to do it differently. And okay. And I was the same way. I was like, why did I stay married for 26 years? I literally said this to my mom yesterday. I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? I'm just wondering. She's like, well, she used to say, well, you're so stubborn, so nobody could tell you what to do. And I'm thinking, no, you didn't know how to communicate to me what was healthy,
Totally.
because you
Oh
didn't
my.
know.
Yeah.
So you couldn't tell me what was healthy. So nobody could say, hey, AKA, you're in an unhealthy relationship. This is not good for you. You look terrible. You're suppressing yourself. And it's leading you to be, depressed on antidepressants and sometimes suicidal. Nobody else
Yeah.
could see it. They just knew it didn't look
Yeah.
great, but they don't know how to
Right.
speak up for themselves either. So let's
Yeah.
teach them how to do that. So tell us about
Yeah.
boundaries and then how we're going to communicate those.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I just really commend you.
Oh
I really
gosh.
do. Like, just amazing job, Lisa. Like
Oh,
this,
thank you.
you've, the thing is that we get modeled like a woman that stands by her man
Yeah.
is this like,
Take it for the
this,
team.
yes, she's such a trooper. Like, no,
No,
no, no
no,
more troopers.
no more troopers.
No.
Oh, I love that. We need a t-shirt that says no more troopers. Yes.
So we
Yeah.
get modeled all these things, and it is hard to break out. It's hard because you're like, I don't know another life other than this.
Yes.
And yeah, the people around you don't either.
Mm-mm.
They're in it too.
Yep.
And so I really just wanted to acknowledge you for one,
Thank
because
you.
it's an incredible thing what you've done. And a lot of people listen for a long time before they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're an amazing model. I'm happy that you have this podcast and that you're sharing your story, because it does take evidence. We need to see evidence. Wait, someone was once like this, and that I kind of relate to that, but now they're like this. We need all the examples of that. So thank
Yes.
you for being an example of
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So um, when it comes to creating boundaries, there's a lot out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned in business, this all kind of happened much faster. I realized I'm going to get eaten alive if I can't, like, I work with all men. We're selling to the government. I'm on all male teams. My clients are all men. Not that it doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, but for whatever reason it does. It's a little
Yeah.
intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just faced with like, okay, my paycheck depends on my success. I need to get over this. And luckily, I had a mentor who was very supportive of me being much, much stronger. An excellent male mentor, my old boss, Barry. So I bought a lot of books and did a lot of research online, and none of it helped me at all, because what's out there is like, say this, and it's like
Yes.
what you want, and so that's like X plus Y is like your request, and like, and or the consequence. There's a lot of that. Like,
Yes.
I would like you to pick up your socks. I request that you do that before midnight, or I will never do your laundry again, or
Yeah.
I will
Punishment,
burn.
punishment, punishment.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
so it's like, okay, perfect, I can do that. And then you walk up to someone and you're like, we need to talk. And if you don't, and then like look at a note card, pick up your socks by
Yeah.
midnight.
Awkward.
I will. Like, it does not land. It's
Yeah.
not authentic.
It's not
It's just
natural.
right. It's not natural. And
Yes.
they are like, what are you even talking about? Like, you've picked up my socks every day for the last 20 years.
Yes.
And now you're coming in with a little sneaky piece of paper and saying something so robotic like, this does not land at all. Fine, I'll do it one day, and then you'll chicken out and forget, and I will never face any consequences again. And that's
So
what happened.
before you move forward, how would you describe a boundary? Because I had a very unhealthy, I felt like a boundary was just another box, like
Yeah.
more walls for a box. That's what a boundary felt like to me. And so I think I was not creating them because they felt mean, because they felt
Yeah.
like, I even had a guy say to me once, you have a lot of walls and you got barbed wire on top of your walls. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting in the dating world to say that to somebody, but thanks for the reflection.
See,
And I'm like, and okay, give him some props. There's some truth to that, because it's like, in order, once you find peace, it's like, I need to keep my peace. Like, and I'm going to draw this box around me. And now my boundaries are going to be like fortified walls. So it's just another form of a box, right? That you're putting yourself in, because now instead of being defensive, now you're being offensive. No matter what, it's aggressive, right? You go from being victim, but now you're going to be persecutor. Like, so that's not balanced either. So tell us how, like, what the description is, or how you look at, like, how do you perceive boundaries? What are they to you?
Yeah. So actually, what's funny is truthfully, the word boundaries now doesn't really resonate with me anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, like it is funny. But at first, that was a real lifeboat. So I would say to anyone listening, whatever feels supportive and helpful is okay. Because I was like, boundaries, I need boundaries. Okay. Now that feels like I am a boundary. And the reason I am a boundary is because I have increased my standards dramatically. And people feel my energy for that. I will simply not, like, there is no putting up with anymore at all. My standards have gotten so much higher. I no longer have to enforce boundaries because it's not even like my boundaries are very rarely pushed in the way that they used to be. But this is this is where I am now after I've been working on this for probably 10 years, starting with work. So, and I do, it's a moving target. I don't think you're ever like impermeable, but
But you
because
became clear.
yes,
You became clear in like work, and then you became clear in relationships.
yeah, I just became so much more clear on what I wanted, what I stand for, who this person is, who I really am.
Yes.
Right? And so now I walk through the world being who I am.
Okay. Let's just say that again for the people on the back row. Like,
Hell yes.
right? You walk through the world
Walk through the
being
world being who I am.
Yes.
That took so much courage. That took way more courage than X or Y or this. Like, that is so surface level, but it was a fine place to start. But actually being who I am, expressing who I am, that took more courage than anything. And thank God I got there, because now the people that I'm around are just so much more in alignment, that the kind of people who would really push my boundaries and would really disrespect me are just not around. They're not attracted to someone like me.
They're not. And those people need you to be different. Which then, if you don't know who you are, and if you don't know how you want to walk through the world, then you are needing yourself to be different. You're that moving target, right? And you're needing yourself to be something that you're not, which is not in alignment, which is what puts you in a box, which is what causes you to be sick and unhappy and down in the depths of hell. I mean, let's just say that's literally like, that's what it feels like. Yes. Okay.
Depths of hell.
And when we are, you know, I know I keep bringing it back to when we're young, but it's when it starts. Like, we don't think we need to be different when we're little. We are just like, I am who I am, until the world and other people's ideas and other people's traumas and other people's experiences start to apply them to you. And because we're so little, we just want to be loved, and we just want to feel safe, and we just want people to like us. We're like, oh, I need to do it that way. And then you're going to say that means I'm a good person, or that means I'm accepted, or I'm loved if I do it this way. And then we start to change who we are to fit everybody else's screwed up versions of life. Because that's what it is, right? Like,
that is what it is.
It's everybody else's lens of what life
Yeah.
looks like. That's a messed up lens. And now we're changing to meet their lens so it can look right for them. Not.
I mean, it's like the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
I would say for any listener, if you know, listening to your thoughts is actually quite advanced. Like I always laugh. I feel like in personal development, it always starts with like, listen to your thoughts.
Yeah.
That took me years.
It,
I think I'm just now there. But if you ever think things like, well, no matter what I do, like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
yeah.
Or like, I just can't make this person happy. Like, there's nothing like I tried this and then that didn't work. And so then I tried this and then they hated that too. This is a huge sign because this type of behavior, it's approval seeking. That's what that means. And I was such a huge approval seeker. That was the lesson I needed.
Yeah.
I heard you need to have boundaries. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But what it was is like, I'm doing all these things for approval. And so if it gets me approval to pick up the socks, I'll do it. If it gets me approval to not pick up the socks, I'll do it. And I'm lucky or blessed or both that it happened to be in fashion for me with my boss to begin to stick up for myself.
Yeah.
Like
That
the
was,
like wishy-washy dish rag of a woman that I was, he was like, no, you can't. Like, you have to get stronger. So to get his approval, I had to, and thank God for that. And some people I think do have these experiences, it's too bad because as children, like our very survival depends on everyone.
yeah.
Our very survival, where we eat, if we eat,
Yes.
um, if we have a bed, we are completely dependent as children. And so as a kid, it makes sense
Mhm.
to, yes, ma'am,
Yeah.
yes, sir,
Yep.
to fall in line. It makes sense as a kid. But there is some point, and this is what we don't have like a ceremony. Okay, now you need to think for yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, you've been good, and so therefore you've been fed and watered and
Yeah.
sheltered.
Yeah.
But now it's time. So I think first, before anything, there has to be an awareness of, okay, like I am approval seeking. I'm shape shifting to make people
Yes.
happy. The strongest people do this. We are hardwired for survival. So it's not something to judge ourselves for.
Mm-mm.
I mean, honestly, I was really far down the rabbit hole. I was like a very wishy-washy dish rag,
I
unfortunately.
mean, I was too. I mean,
Gosh.
we just do. I mean, you wouldn't think it. I'm like, I'm a strong woman. I make $1 million
Oh,
a year.
totally.
We're, you can be,
No one would have guessed.
no one would have guessed. People said to me, what? You got divorced? And I was like, yeah, I did get divorced. Like, and no one had an idea. My sister-in-law, she was like, I had no idea. My sister-in-law,
Oh, your
like,
sister-in-law.
she's like, I didn't even know. She's like, you just looked like you were so happy. And I was like, yeah, I was so good at that, wasn't I?
I was good at that.
Put on the face, but yet really happy then and happy now. Like I have a different glow. I look different
Yes,
because
I agree.
and I remember, I just have to say, I remember the first time I went to Ultra, it was after I got divorced. And I went to Ultra and I had people who did not even know me. And they were like, you just look so good. You look like you're glowing. I probably had 25 people that I'm not kidding. And I was like, well, if that's not confirmation that Lisa's on the right track, like, I don't know what that is. All these human beings that didn't know me telling me how much I was glowing and how great I looked. And I was like, I mean, I haven't lost any weight. Like, I don't really know what's going on. It was just
Yeah.
when you start to
Oh my
live as
God.
you, like, we're meant to
Yes.
live all of us and walk around knowing who we are and being who we
Being
are.
who you are.
So,
Oh my.
so a boundary isn't a wall. A boundary is knowing. It's almost like part of your value system.
Yes. Yes, Lisa, exactly.
Okay.
This is so I have in my book a whole list of values, which you can Google as well, because it is a value system and it's finding out like what what the heck do I actually value? And by the
Yes.
way, your values change. When you got married, you probably, if it was 25 years ago, you hadn't been maybe exposed to certain things.
Yeah.
Now you value, look at you, you live in Hawaii.
I
You
know.
value different things than you did
Yes.
then.
Yes.
So your values change. We have to keep checking in and be okay with ourselves changing. And again, if someone wants to be like, well, who are you? Last
Yeah.
month and now you live in Hawaii. Like, oh, I'm sorry. This is my standard, is
Yeah.
that I get to live how I want to. That doesn't work for everybody.
Yep.
Some people are going to fall off. Lisa, she moves, she changes. Who is this? If they can't keep up with that, it just won't work. And that's okay. And you wish them well.
Hmm.
So it's all part of, yes, knowing your values, knowing your needs. It's more of that. What we want is give me a framework of how to have a boundary. And then tonight I'm going to go have a conversation with my husband. Our
Yes.
whole marriage is going to change. I'm going to have a clean house and we're going to Italy.
Right. And I'm gonna like, yeah, it's forceful. Like that's like it's gonna be this way, and you force it.
No more of this or else,
Yes.
but I want nothing else to change.
Yeah.
All the bad, you need to stop right now. All the good, please keep doing.
Yeah.
Also, we're going on vacation now, and it's like it's this fantasy. So
Yeah.
boundaries are, again, whatever is the most accessible, whatever feels like the right thing to do. I had to start with the boundaries frameworks. I had to try them, and then they totally flopped because the person I was could not withhold the pressure of those conversations and could not hold the pressure of I was not even being authentic. I was so it just didn't work.
Yeah. Well, because it has to come from within. I think maybe the best
It
way to say
does.
is you were trying to get that information from people who were trying to give you another lens from which they looked at boundaries and be like, oh, well, here's how you're going to create your boundaries. Here's the lens with which you need to look through, to see life.
Yeah,
And again, that's another screwed up person's lens. And I think
totally.
I mean, bless all the people who wrote the books about boundaries, whatever.
Bless them. Exactly. They're
And
wonderful.
they're wonderful and they're still good pieces of information. And
Yeah.
you went to what's important for me. Like you went to the inside because all of this comes from the inside out, which is why it's the deep work, why it's the like
It is.
what feels like the hard work, because it feels a lot easier to order a book on Amazon and have a
Yep.
solution than it
Yep.
does to do the deep work on the inside. Right.
Yes.
Although now your book on Amazon would help them to do the
That
deep
one is
work on the
okay.
inside. So we'll just caveat that. But it's you develop that authentically as you, right? Not for or because of anyone else or by their framework. It's a
Yes.
path to your inner self and your knowing, which I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. And it just feels so good. And as you know, like living in your truth, you know, there's nothing
Oh my
better.
gosh,
There's
it
nothing better.
feels amazing. Yes. And
Like, oh,
yes. And don't you think too, I know we're going all over, but you can tell when you start to live in your truth and then you run into something that or make a choice or you're even going towards something that now is not aligned with your truth. There's like
yes.
all the flags
Oh my God, yes.
and you feel it and you're like, wait a minute, something's not right. And you
Yes.
become so much more in tune with what's right for you and what's not right for you. And so you can take those steps forward with confidence and like feel amazing about what you're choosing to do. Like,
Totally. And that's what I would
so
say,
good.
like to your audience. I mean, this is a lifetime of work,
Hmm.
but it doesn't feel like work when you get to that point.
Yes.
It feels like, oh, huh, there was another layer there and I just didn't know. So, okay, moving forward, I am even more myself with this, in this scenario, with this type of person. I need to be more clear about this. It's not, doesn't feel like work. It feels like, ooh, good learning, good lesson.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the
Once you
layers,
do that with the layers,
those
yeah.
feel like garbage. Yeah. I mean, I
definitely.
don't know if your layers felt like garbage, but there was
Oh
some,
no.
yeah, I'm like, I used to describe it as like gnashing and wailing of teeth. I think that's what they say in the scriptures. Like there was some of that that would be going
Oh
on.
yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah. It
yeah.
it can, but again, I had to get to rock bottom. People don't have to. So yes, for me, it was all the gnashing and wailing, and
Yeah.
there was just so much deep excavation to
Yeah.
do. Um, I don't, again, it's not necessary. We can get there way before.
Yeah.
I honestly do feel like a lot of people complain about like, oh, these young kids these days are so whatever. And I am like, the young kids that I have seen
So good.
are like, yeah, they are not afraid to be themselves. They are self-expressed, and that is a better world. Now, there are always examples. I sell to schools, so I
Okay.
do hear examples of, things that I don't think are good. So
Mm.
whatever you look for is what you find.
Yes.
But um, if we can all be more self-expressed while keeping polite, graceful, courageous communication, though, that's what I teach is courageous communication, not like, I don't think so,
Yes.
like
Not aggressive.
you're dead to me. Not like
Yes.
that, but like I'm available for lunch at 2, not for dinner. Uh, so let's go to lunch or let's just plan some other time. Like if everyone spoke like this, the sitcoms, like the sitcom of Tiffany's life would be canceled because if you look at any television show, that's all it is.
Yes.
It's all people not saying what they want, being afraid of what the other person thinks, changing themselves, and then being resentful. That is the whole premise of every character on every sitcom.
Yes. It's so unhealthy. It's
It's so
so
unhealthy.
unhealthy. And
This is
we
not the
do it
example.
no judgment because we all do it unknowingly. And I
We
think,
do.
and that, so judgment, no judgment, but also having so much compassion for ourselves because,
Yes.
oh my gosh, when I would say, why did I do this for 26 years? And why did I do it when I was a kid? I mean, it went from being a kid, from my 5-year-old self, all the way up through 26 years of marriage. It's been my whole life. And
Yeah,
and it's like, why? And then, you know what? Have compassion for that girl who just was trying
definitely.
her best to just be happy and do it, be the best mom she could, and just live the best
Yeah,
life she could and serve the way that she could. And that's all I knew, right? Until
it
my
is.
box was shaken and I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like what? What's going on? Um,
Yeah.
so what tips then would you give? So we talked about boundaries and values because that's all like together, right? It's much more better just values
Yeah.
and how to communicate those. What would you tell people? Because I know we struggle. I know for me, when I haven't had the words modeled and then the words that you do hear on like television or they're not modeled,
No, no.
proper, like healthy, I don't want to call it proper, but healthy communication is not
Yeah.
modeled. And I started to realize that when I would be around other couples, because I in real estate, and so I would listen to other couples communicate with each other, and that was some of my awakening. And I was like, "What? Like, look how kind he's being to her, and look how they talk to each other,
Oh,
and then look how affectionate they are." And I was like, "I don't have that in my marriage." I'm like, "What is that?"
wow.
And then I
Oh
would
my
see it in
goodness.
other ways. And so watching other people's examples and them communicate and how they speak to each other, I was like, okay, those are words to use. I have to learn the words, the phrases,
Yeah.
but to integrate them, but like I have to have a model. And so or otherwise we don't have the words. We don't even know like how to find them. They're not in
Yes.
us.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, we need evidence. Like
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so happy that you started to see evidence of
Mm-hmm.
happy couples who were communicating well.
Yes.
We won't find that on TV because that show would get canceled. No one would watch it
Yeah.
because our brains are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for evidence is very, very smart and very good, and you will find it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say for courageous communication, there are many different things that you could do. So what we've talked about first is knowing what you want. a lot of non-courageous communication is just that you don't know what you want.
Okay.
Like you're like, to go back to the lunch example, because it's always little things, until it gets to be a big thing. But to use small examples, maybe you're like, I don't really want to go to lunch, or I kind of don't care, but that's not
It's not
exactly what I
true.
want,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes you're just a little unsure. And so that's where a lot of uncourageous communication comes out.
Okay.
Um, because we feel and people tell you this, like you're in real estate, you're in sales. So they'll say, mirror the client, meet people where they are.
Hmm.
So what you start doing is like, well, I don't know, like, what are you thinking? Like, maybe
Yes.
lunch, but where would you want to go? Okay, well then, so then if we did sushi, like, what time would that be? And you're kind of just putting things off because you
Hmm.
don't know and you can't decide.
Hmm.
So courageous communication starts with, well, all the things we talked about. But
Hmm.
then you're now in the communication, say you don't know.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say you don't know.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know, you dig yourself into a hole. You begin like, and you're just allowing the other
Mhm.
person to determine
Dictate.
what you're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
And it's not actually kind to them because they end up feeling like this is what you want to do.
yeah, because you don't like the way it turns out, then you're just going to get mad at them because it didn't turn out the way that
Yeah.
you actually didn't dictate that you really wanted or communicate the way you wanted. That happens
Yeah.
in marriage all the time.
All the time.
So my nephew's staying here with me. And the first night that he got here, he was excited to be here. He used to live in Hawaii for a little while. And so it was like 10 o'clock at night, we got back to the condo. And he's like, okay, Aunt Lisa, I'm going to go for a walk. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I don't know what time I'm going to be home. And I was like, what? And he's like, I don't know what time I'm going to be home. I wasn't quite prepared for that. I thought, like, you're going to come home. It's 10 o'clock. We'll go to bed. We get up in the morning. And so I was like, okay, well, I was caught off guard. So I just was like,
Yeah.
and he's like 23. It's like, live your best life. We're Waikiki Beach. Like, go, there's people out there all the time. And I
Yeah.
tried to say, like, can you come home like a little early? And he was like, I'm going to go get a drink. And then I thought, like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't go drink. So then my brain starts to go like wild, right?
Yeah.
So I came back and I was like, okay, I didn't say anything because I'm like, it's not my place. You're 23. You get to live your best life, whatever that is for you. So he goes off. I come back and I'm trying to go to bed. And it gets kind of close to midnight. And I thought, why am I bothered? Like, why does
Hmm.
it bother me? Because the first reaction that we have is there's something wrong with what the other person's doing, and that's making me feel a certain way. And so
Right.
we then give them all of our power, and then we feel powerless, right? That puts us in a victim place when we don't choose, when we don't
Yeah.
know or
They
communicate
wronged me.
the courageous communication. So I laid there
Yeah.
and I was like, why is this a problem for me? And I was like, really, it's because I can't lock my door. I have created a safe environment for my nervous system and I
Yes.
love it. This is my safe, beautiful space here. And my nervous
Yeah.
system is so happy and feels so safe. And if it's midnight and I can't lock my door and I don't know what time you're coming home, I feel unsafe.
Oh, yes,
And
absolutely.
so then I sent him a text message and I said, hey, exactly that. I can't go to sleep because I feel unsafe with my door unlocked. And this is my safe space I've created. So could you come back home soon so I can lock the door? And he was like, sure, at least I'll be home in 10 minutes. I'm just down on the pier. And I was like, amazing. He
Yeah.
wasn't mad at me. There wasn't dramatics. But I'm telling you right now, that way of communicating did not used to be me because
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted. So I couldn't communicate what I wanted. Like, you have to know, but then courageous communication also means I'm not going to worry that you're going to be mad at me or think I'm a terrible person because I communicated my needs. And if you think I'm a terrible person
Absolutely.
because I communicated my needs, bye bye. go find a
See ya.
hotel. See you later.
Right.
Love,
Yeah.
love you and leave you because
Love you, but there are hotels and you can leave your door
yes.
unlocked
And of
all day
course,
and night.
that's not him. But when you live your life so worried or needing the approval, you are
Yes.
afraid. There is fear. And I just want to normalize the fear in even such a
Yeah.
small thing in my own home. There is that fear of how someone else will react to what you're going to say. And that's what usually stops us from communicating. So I
Yep.
love how you call it courageous communication because it does feel like courage, and that practicing
Yeah.
it, it takes courage to start to practice healthy communication.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think, speaking up for myself means I'm going to be like, hell no, you're not leaving. You're staying here. This is
Yeah.
my house. No, that's not it. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if you had done that? Or like,
Oh, yeah.
can you get back, please? Or when are you coming back?
Old Lisa would have said that, but I would have been like, you shouldn't drink. It's not healthy for you.
Right.
And you shouldn't stay out so late. Nothing good happens after 12, which are like words my mom
Yep.
used to say when we were young.
Which
Yes.
is true.
There's truth to it. And that's not that wasn't the problem though.
But exactly. And so you
Yeah.
did the perfect thing by really contemplating what is the actual root cause of this.
Yeah.
And when we know what it is, it just changes everything.
Yeah.
It's really huge. It's not that the socks are on the floor.
Right.
I mean, you're annoyed that the socks are on the floor, but it's probably a root of something else.
Yes.
And getting to those things and then just saying what your needs are. This makes so much sense to everybody. And then, yeah, not being afraid. Like if that doesn't work for you, then staying with me won't work, but I love you.
But I love you.
But it can
Yeah. And I
work
love
because
you.
I've got to have the door
Yeah.
locked.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
look how easy that is.
right, it is. It's actually so easy. And
Mhm.
this is why I no longer really feel like I'm this like boundary enforcer because
Mhm.
when you know what you want, you know what's actually bothering you and what would solve that. You're not dancing around all the things,
Yes.
creating all of this. It's like muckiness.
Drama. It's drama story.
And it is, it's
Yes.
drama. So
Yeah.
when we are like, well, what time are you coming home? Are you going to have a bunch of drinks?
Yeah.
Are you gonna are you going to a bar or are you just like
Yeah.
sitting on you're just waiting for your brain to kick in for like, what am I trying to say?
Mhm.
So it's so much better
Yeah.
to even say something like, I'm not totally sure how I feel about it, but I need a moment. I
Yes.
need a moment here. But yes, of course, go on a walk, but hold on. Like I may have a request. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Or yeah, do what you did, allow it because you don't know what's
Because I
bugging
wasn't
you, but
sure.
then
Yeah.
clarify. And just so much of this happens. This takes up so much energy. It takes up so much space in your head. It
Yes.
takes up so much wasted time of our precious lives. We are constantly reacting to things we don't even really care about
Mhm.
because we don't know what it actually is that is the threat to us or our safety or our needs or our values. So,
Yes.
so much of it is way before we ever even have the conversation.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. I think you've hit the whole spectrum. Do you have any final parting thoughts? Do you have any final parting thoughts?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I would say, for any of the listeners, I do have a guide that is how to say no while still being nice.
Oh,
Because
I
the
love
thing
that.
is at the beginning, like this is all very easy to say, but
Yes.
at the very beginning, you are like
It's
saying,
hard.
the word no flies out of my mouth. Sorry, opposite. The word yes flies out of my mouth. Like that's
Yes.
how I was. It was just like, yes, 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 yes. And I'm like, crap, I didn't mean any of that, but I don't
Yeah.
even know what I meant. So it is baby steps. So you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Tiffani Barton Official, Tiffani Barton on Facebook. There's any number of ways, but I do have a download. And maybe even if you have show notes, we could put the
Yep, I will
download
put the
in
download
there.
in the show notes. Yep. And then a link
Yeah.
to your book so that they can be able to get your book.
Yeah, that would be great. And I have a
Yes.
free ebook too. If they would rather have the ebook than buy it, that's okay. But I would say, taking it slow, get my tips on the it's like 7 ways to say no without seeming rude. And then as you go on, you become a lot more confident and a
Yes.
lot more courageous. And then you're less worried about saying no, and it becomes just so much easier as you begin to really embody the person that you are.
Yes.
So,
I love that. And, and the compassion, I just want to end with the compassion that we choose to have for ourselves in this
oh my
process
gosh.
is have so much compassion and love and patience for yourself because look at how many years. I mean, I'm 45. I have been doing this unhealthily for like most of those years.
Yeah,
This is a
same.
new, even just the boundaries and me communicating, that is new. And it's so you are clearing out a lot of years worth of unhealthy communication patterns, and you are rebuilding. You are building something new. You are developing something you haven't developed before. So just because we've been living life doesn't mean that it's going to come naturally. It's going to be something that you develop. I think develop is my favorite word because it
Yeah,
requires some patience and some
it does.
love and understanding and compassion. And then we get to go live life, right? As your whole true self. What did you say? Like you show up and you get to be you all the time.
You walk the world as you, like you,
There we go.
it's like there's no better
Yeah.
feeling. There's no better feeling.
Walk the world as
I
that's a perfect note to end on. You walk the world as you.
Yes,
Yes,
I
love
wish
it.
that for all your listeners, for sure.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being here. And it was just the perfect conversation at the perfect time. And I always love when that happens, when I listen and I'm like, yes, and you listened and you're like, yes. And then we are
Yeah,
aligned and we're like, yes, let's make this happen. And this is exactly what our
exactly.
listeners needed to hear right now. So walk
Yes,
the world
thank you
as
so
you.
much.
Thank
Walk the
you.
world as you. I wish that for everyone. Thank you for having me on, Lisa. This was such an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure.
So
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.